The whole Daniel Jones thing, I mean, Daniel Jones, I will fight for the rest of my Giants fandom about Daniel Jones over the fact that do I believe that we absolutely screwed this kid up? Yeah, 100%. Did we do everything in our power to set him back? Yes, 100%. Was he also selected way too high? Yes, 100%. Does he is he the right guy for the future? Let's just be real. And I've said this about Daniel Jones. I will defend that. The guy's a lot better than what his detractors give him credit for. I think he's been asked to do a lot of things with the talent around him that many guys in this league just could not do. I mean, the guy had a magical run last year with the type of talent that he had, rated as the worst talent around any quarterback, and made the most of it. But the thing with Daniel Jones now going forward is I can say I've said this before and I'll probably continue to do it. You can make excuses or you can make arguments for whether or not his play is why it's not here or why the numbers don't look like this. But when you have mounting injuries, when you have injuries that you are a problem, you have 2 neck injuries, now you've blown out your ACL. That's a problem. A 5-year quarterback having these type of injuries mount, those are things you cannot defend. So we're well aware of where we're at. The Giants are in a situation right now where almost it's a perfect storm. You have a situation with Daniel Jones where this guy, his play has completely regressed. And take away the elements of is it the line's fault? Who cares? Let's just hold Daniel Jones accountable. So your play has regressed massively. And now you're showing signs that you just cannot stay healthy. And these aren't injuries where you stub a toe. I mean, these are season-ending or within the neck, potentially career-altering injuries. And so you're the Giants and you're sitting there and you have a 2-year out on this contract that everybody bitched about, even though they didn't pay attention to the fact that the Giants walk away after year 2 scot-free. So you had this second window. You're going to have him come back next year, paying him $40 million. And you're going to, you're in a situation where you're going to get, at best, 1, 2, or the 3rd pick in the draft. So you've created this perfect storm where all the teams that are going to be with you in the hunt for the first pick, most of them necessarily don't need a quarterback. Does that mean that they won't trade out? Of course they can. The Giants also have draft capital with the Leonard Williams trade, where you can move up if that's where you want to go, and there's your guy, and you feel that you have to have him. So the writing's on the wall. We understand where this is going. And I've said this since day one. I will support, no matter who's under center, I support the quarterback. It's not about the name on the back of the jersey. I've been a diehard Giants fan since the mid-'80s. So at my lifetime, it's Phil Simms all the way to Daniel Jones. This week, last 2 weeks, it's been supporting Tommy DeVito. So do I envision that there's a real scenario that in the next year or two I'm supporting, a Drake or a Caleb Williams or a J.J. McCarthy? Yeah. Yeah, we're there. We're absolutely there. Am I a Giants fan that wants to sit here and lose? No, I don't. I mean, at this point, I look at it like this. We have a bad culture. That losing culture that was still there from the Gettleman era is still there. We can play all the Biggie in the locker room last year that we wanted to and dance around the fact. But the fact of the matter is that is still everywhere. It's everywhere. So the Giants know the writing's on the wall. Daniel Jones knows the writing's on the wall. And I look at it like, do we have to tank to get there? No, you don't. The Giants are bad enough to mess, the rest of the season and mess it all up, maybe even win a couple games and still find themselves in the top 3. And even if they're not, they have the draft capital. If you really want one of those guys, it's right there. You want him bad enough, you have the capital to say, screw it, we're going to move up and get him. So you're never going to see me be this Giants fan that goes out there and wants to lose. There was no part of me that wanted to lose that game yesterday, especially with a bet that many of you seen with the clips maybe you haven't, that I had on the line with Cowboy Brian. I have to fly a Dallas Cowboys flag outside of my house now. Those are the consequences of being a dumbass. So I don't go into a game wanting to lose. I don't think the Giants, I think you might get a chance when Tyrod Taylor comes back. You might end up winning 1 or 2 more games, maybe 3 if you're lucky. But let's say you end up losing them all and you get the number 1 pick. Let's just say it's Caleb Williams. You get Caleb Williams now, what have you fixed? Okay? Yeah, 7 more games. Did you lose 7 of them? Did you lose 6 of them? How did you go into the offseason? Did you go into the offseason on a 4, 5, 6, 7 game losing streak? Did you play competitive at all? Were you in any of those games at the end of the year before you got Caleb Williams? Because here's the deal. If the answer to those questions is no, or yes, we got demolished, no, we were not in these games, you're going to come back next year with a shiny new toy, a shiny new object that's going to learn from Daniel Jones for a year, and at some point, behind the $40 million man, and he's going to get thrown into the exact same situation. You didn't change the culture, right? You haven't fixed the offensive line. So I think that when we sit back and we actually look at this without all the emotions of wanting to blow things up and wanting to fire everybody, wanting to draft a quarterback, go for it. I'm all for it. I'm all for it at this point. I want to win. I am sick of fucking losing, just like everybody else. I'm sick of losing. And as bad as Brian Daboll has been, and as questionable as Joe Shane, some of the moves have been, I don't think it's time. I'm not there. You got to get these guys at least another 2 years. Let them actually have a chance to rebuild this team. I'm in for it. But be careful what you wish for. Just like I told Giants fans when they wanted Tom Coughlin out of here, be careful what you wish for. Eli Manning got the last 5 years of his career absolutely sabotaged because the Giants could not properly address the offensive line. Daniel Jones got his entire 5-year career sabotaged because the Giants could not properly address the offensive line. So Caleb Williams, if that's where we're going, and I'll just say this about Caleb Williams, anybody can call me a dickhead. You can call me whatever you want. You can say I'm being that's not the right way to approach things with today's athletes. I don't care. Caleb Williams, the scene where Caleb Williams is crying on the sidelines after the game 2 weeks ago. I'm all athletes, some wins, some losses sometimes bring out different emotions. We've seen it our entire lives. But to the image of to run up in a regular season loss and run up in the stands, and I mean cry like a baby to your parents. As a parent, I felt horrible for him. And I would have done the same thing for my son. But as a fan of this franchise, the New York Football Giants, with this disgusting media and this rabid base that we have, my biggest concern is that we are on this path, collision course, to take this kid. This is what the fans want, right? And fate is having the Giants just fuck up their way to fate and have it be right there at the doorstep for their taking. Is this the guy? Is Caleb Williams the guy that you think is going to be built for New York? I mean, if you want to ignore the fact that the guy shrinks whenever he has to face competition, formidable competition, look at his numbers. Look at the numbers. And your whole thing you're telling me right now is we need a team that can beat our rivals. So you want to take a guy that cannot beat his rivals and cannot beat good competition. Okay. And then let's be real. Look at the way that this base and this media devour Daniel Jones. We all saw the question at his locker room. 24 hours after getting his knee blown out, the worst time in his life. He doesn't know what his future is going to look like. He gets asked the question, point blank. What do you think about, potentially being replaced next year, even though I know you haven't even started your rehab process? How does that feel? You think Caleb Williams can handle that kind of pressure? Do you think Caleb Williams can handle Giants Twitter after his first pick six and his bad, multiple interception game. I don't know. But what I see tells me that that's a red flag. The caliber of player, the play speaks for itself. I think mentally is the problem with Caleb Williams. There's something about when he is in a big game, he seems to shrink. And there's something mentally about the fact when he faces a lot of adversity and can't overcome it, he implodes. So regardless of that, let's just say you take that caliber of player. Who's protecting this kid? You're going to throw him into the same situation? It got, Daniel Jones killed, got Tyrod Taylor sent to the hospital on the IR. But you want to do that to Caleb Williams? I don't know. I'm for whatever they want to do. I guess you have to trust that this regime, who you're already criticizing, every move they make will suddenly just make the right moves because Caleb Williams will fix it all. You see what I mean? Like this whole thing is a lot bigger and a lot more complicated than we all think it is. And you can have the smartest guys on Twitter who have the best GM skills in Madden. They still don't know what they're talking about. The same as me. All of us. We're in the same boat. Because we're in uncharted territory. One player in one draft is not going to fix this, folks. It's not. You have a bad culture problem. And you have a bad, bad talent problem. And if you throw in inept coaching in there on that, oh my God. I mean, where are we? Where are we? Where we are is here all the fucking time. And we're getting real sick of it. It's not as easy as a one fix. It's a lot more complicated than that. And I think that that's the frustrating thing on this morning after this beating, is that we have 7 more games to go. And really, nobody knows the answer to this. Nobody that's being honest can tell you exactly how this is going to get fixed. I don't know. I'm at a loss, I'm at a loss for where do we go from here.